Hello, students. Today we'll be talking about the most famous, the most renowned, the world famous, the Nobel Prize winner, Rabindranath Tagore, whose life is larger than life, and we shall discuss about his great play, The Post Office. Rabindranath Tagore was born in 7th of May 1861 and died in 7th of August 1941. He is known by his pen name Banu Singh Thakur. He was also known as Gurudev, Kavi Guru, and Vishwakobi. He was a poet, musician, artist, Ayurveda researcher from the Indian subcontinent. He reshaped Bengali literature and music, as well as Indian art, with contextual modernism in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. He is the author of the profoundly sensitive, fresh, and beautiful verse of Gitanjali. He became, in 1913, the first non-European to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. He is sometimes referred to as the Bard of Bengal, just like William Shakespeare, who is often called as the Bard of Avon. The Post Office, originally written in Bengali in 1912 in the name of Daggar, which was translated into English as the Post Office and performed in 1913 by the Abbey Theatre Company in Dublin, Ireland, and London, England. The play was then published in English in 1914. To this day, The Post Office is the most renowned and beloved of Tagore's dramatic works, and it is still regularly produced in the United States and abroad. The play is about a small boy who is chronically ill. On account of his sickness, the boy is confined to his bed and he sits by his window. The play is primarily a metaphor for spiritual freedom, for death as a beginning rather than an ending. Amal, who has an intense curiosity of the outside world and longs for the type of knowledge that can be learned from a book. He is forbidden by the village doctor to move out of doors because he is sick. He lies confined to his room and talks to a lot of friends who pass through the path nearby the window of his room. He not only feels happy but also makes those who come in contact with him very happy. He is keen to journey from this world to the next. In this play, The Post Office, the sick boy Amal is symbolically shown by Rabindranath Tagore to have a desire to have a communication with the outside world. Rabindranath Tagore has written about this personal interest in reminiscences. Going out of the house was forbidden to us. The Post Office is a story of an ill boy Amal, who looks out of his room window at the colorful life outside. A card seller, coming from a village near the hills, a little girl with a basket of flowers, group of cheerful children, the alert watchman, and the postman, who brings letter from the king. The opening of the play is very illuminating. In this play, we see Amal's tireless quest for knowledge, his unflinching love for life, and his need to discover the world around him and beyond him. In the post office, Amal says, "It isn't sad. When they shut me in here first, I felt the day was so long. Since the King's Post Office, I like it more and more being indoors. And as I think I shall get a letter one day, I feel quite happy, and then I don't mind being quiet and alone. I wonder if I shall make out what will be in the King's letter." Madhav, Amal's guardian, is a man that believes in learning from books and feels more comfortable in home than outside. He is very much worried about Amal, his sick child, whom he loves very much, and who is so quiet with all his pain and sickness. His concern and restlessness for the child, his love of him, and his interest in earning money are just contrasted with the impudence of doctor, who says, in medicine as in good advice, the least palatable is the truest. Madhav tells Gaffer that after the arrival of the boy, yearning has become very significant for him. He says, "Formerly yearning was a sort of passion. I simply could not help working for money. Now I make money, and as I know it is all for this dear boy." The dairyman is another character. He is an ordinary cart supplier. He is not a well-read person but experienced. The play moves to a different stage with the arrival of the dairyman. The boy is overjoyed with delight to see the Panchmura Hav and the Shamli River near the dairyman's village. He then goes on giving all the details about the village. There is a moment of realization and another moment of ignorance. He expresses his fear at the tune of the dairyman. I can't tell you how queer I feel when I hear you cry out from the end of that road through the line of these trees. The dairyman, who feels irritated in the beginning, gets closer to the boy and tells him that he has learned the art of remaining himself happy by selling cards. When the boy teaches him how to be happy selling cards, the watchman is a loyal servant to the king. He is conversant of the government and the king's systems. Amal tells the watchman, "Oh, yes, your work is great too." The watchman was not keen to talk to Amal in the beginning, says in the end, "I'll drop in again tomorrow morning." The other people in the play too love the boy. Amal is innocent, pure, and simple. He is a nice little boy, imaginative, observant, and full of curiosity and wonder. He would like to be a squirrel, a workman going about finding things to do, a card seller, the king's postman, a bard, and so on. He would love to fly away with the time to that land where no one knows anything. Another character, the headman, who is an Indian, who is given power by the king but he is not popular with the local population. He gets annoyed at Amal and calls him a wretched monkey and says toward the end, "This little child does have an instinct of reverence. Though a little silly, he has a great heart." Shudha is a girl who gathers flowers. She feels happy to do the work of her parents. Finally, there is a group of boys. They give confidence to Amal to resist the doctor and leave the house. To understand Tagore's ideology, one should understand usage of symbolism in this play, which is central to understanding his ideology. Tagore was also an Indian under British colonial rule, like other Indians. While Britain had gone astray from many of its colonies, it still held on to India, which wanted to be freed from its rule. Many Indians wanted to liberate themselves from British rule and get back their independence. The Doctor symbolizes the British Empire or British rule when India was under it. All the characters which are introduced throughout the play pay respect to him. They encourage Amal to listen to his decisions and say to him that whatever Doctor suggests him, that is for his benefits. Some of them want Amal to rebel from the situation. The Indians who want to get rid of British rule. Amal can be seen as an Indian of transition period of the country. He wants to leave his house and wants to go out to play, but at the same time, he is obedient enough of the doctor to stay inside. He knows that he is too young at the moment, but he knows his future lies in living. He can be seen as a youth of India. Merely children that are not ready to rise up against the British, but know that someday they will have to. They wanted to be freed from the confined environment, as the country also wanted to be freed from the colonizers, so they feel that after some time, when they will be more mature, they will revolt against the situation and bring some great changes. Madhav represents the older generation of Indians, while Amal is representing youth of the country. Madhav listens to the orders of the doctor. He regrets not being a more learned man, and he wants to fulfill his desire by educating his son and wants Amal to stay at home and study so that he can be a learned person. He symbolizes a generation that is too set in their ways and are unwilling to stop the British rule. Amal meets with all the other characters, the dairyman, watchman, the headman. All three of these characters symbolize different working class of the Indian population. The dairyman is the laborer and he is discontented with his work but would not dare to go against British rule. He encourages Amal to accept his book learning and not venture out of the house. When Amal asks him to teach him to cry cards, he encourages him to study. The watchman represents an Indian that follows British rule but does not know why, and more importantly, does not care why. He is content with his job and does not question his orders. In one important exchange of dialogues between Amal and the watchman, Amal talks symbolically about time when Indians should start freeing themselves from the British because time waits for none. Time is also one of the important and recurrent symbols in the play, which is shown in this conversation when Amal says, "Won't you sound the gong, watchman?" Watchman says, "The time has not yet come." Amal says, "How curious. Some say the time has not yet come, and some say the time has gone by. But surely your time will come the moment you strike the gong." Watchman says, "That's not possible. I strike up the gong only when it is time." Amal says, "Yes, I love to hear the gong. Tell me, why does your gong sound?" Watchman says, "My gong sounds to tell the people time waits for none, but goes on forever." This exchange is Amal telling the watchman that his generation has the power and timing to awake the Indians to revolt against British rule. They just need to strike the metaphorical gong and start the revolution. The watchman responds with, "That is not possible. I strike the gong only when it is time." This shows that while India may be ready to rid themselves of the British, not all the people are willing. The headman is the last working class person presented by Tagore. He is a British controlled Indian. He gains from British control and would be unwilling to be involved in change. The three men symbolize Tagore's views on the current Indian generation who has become habitual of the way of they are living, but the young generation of the country will take a step ahead to make them free from the confined environment of the British rule and is waiting for the right time to arrive. Shuddha and a group of boys who are symbols of India's youth generation. Shuddha symbolizes the young and naive group. She thinks that Amal should listen to the doctor by saying that he will be naughty if he doesn't listen. However, in the end, she still has a sense of being willing to listen to Amal's ideas in the future. The group of boys is the future of India. They are willing to defy the doctor and encourage Amal to join them. While Amal does not join them, we get the sense that this group will someday rise up and control India. They say, "Come out and play with us." Amal replies, "Doctor won't let me out." Boy says, "Doctor, do you mean to say you mind what the doctor says? Let's be off. It is getting late." The exchange of dialogues of Amal and one boy of the group of boys shows that how Tagore has used slang to explain the meaning. This conversation clearly indicates that these boys represent youth of India and wants to get freedom as soon as possible. Tagore's use of symbolism is brilliant. It makes his play seem subtle and inspired. Tagore does not criticize British colonialism by blunt contemptuous writing. He explains India's past, present, and future by using symbolism in his play. His characters are very simple, yet they are carefully planned. It can be concluded by saying that it's not the number of years we live, it's all about how we live. Death may come at any moment of life. We should not waste the true meaning of life, which lies in freedom.